Let me predict your pattern. You start motivated, make progress, slip up once, beat yourself up about it, feel terrible, seek comfort in old habits, then declare yourself a failure and give up. Sound familiar? The problem isn't the slip up, it's what happens right after. In this video, I'm revealing why the difference between people who actually change and those who stay stuck isn't discipline. It's how they handle guilt. I'll show you the exact framework to transform your relationship with failure so you can finally break the cycle of self-sabotage for good. The guilt-shame trap. Why you keep sabotaging your progress. You know that moment when you slip up once and suddenly your brain acts like you've committed a capital offense? That's not random. It's the start of a predictable pattern that keeps you stuck in a cycle of self-sabotage. What's happening isn't just a bad day or a momentary lapse in willpower. It's actually a sophisticated trap your brain sets for itself. Let's break down what actually happens in your brain after you make a mistake. First comes guilt. That uncomfortable feeling that you've done something wrong. Maybe you skipped your workout again, or snapped at someone you care about, or procrastinated on that important project. That initial sting of guilt is normal and even healthy. But then something more dangerous happens. The problem isn't the initial guilt, it's what happens next. Your brain performs this sneaky transformation where I did something bad, morphs into I am bad. And that is when shame takes over. This is where the real damage begins. See, guilt is about your behavior, but shame is about your identity. Guilt says, I made a mistake. Shame says, I am a mistake. This distinction is crucial because guilt actually motivates positive change, while shame paralyzes you completely. Think about it. If you believe you just made a mistake, you can fix it. But if you believe you are the mistake, well, how do you fix yourself? That feels impossible, right? And your brain knows it. Your brain's natural response to shame is to seek relief. And fast. This is where your bad habits come in. They're not random weaknesses, they're your emergency escape hatches from unbearable feelings. Those habits you're trying to break, they're actually serving a purpose. They're your brain's solution to the problem of feeling awful about yourself. When you feel terrible about yourself, you'll do almost anything to feel better. Procrastination gives you temporary escape from facing potential failure. Overeating provides comfort and a dopamine hit when you feel worthless. Endless scrolling numbs your mind when self-awareness becomes too painful. Drinking temporarily quiets that inner critic telling you you're not enough. They all provide immediate relief from the shame spiral. This creates the perfect storm in your brain. You feel guilty about a mistake. That guilt transforms into shame. You feel unbearable discomfort. You seek relief in your old habits. You feel even more guilty about relapsing, which triggers deeper shame. Each cycle makes the pattern stronger and harder to break free from. The cruel irony? The very habits you're trying to break become your refuge from the shame of breaking them. It's a perfect trap that keeps you stuck in an endless loop. You try to quit smoking, feel shame when you slip up, then smoke to soothe that shame, reinforcing both the habit and the belief that you can't quit. You attempt to be more productive, procrastinate once, feel like a failure, then procrastinate more to avoid facing that feeling. This is why willpower alone fails so miserably. You're not just fighting a habit. You're fighting an entire emotional regulation system that's trying to protect you from the pain of shame. Your brain is actually doing exactly what it evolved to do: avoid pain and seek relief. The problem is that this system is operating on outdated software. The guilt-shame cycle traps you because it turns a single mistake into evidence that you're fundamentally flawed. Breaking free starts with recognizing this pattern when it begins. Learning to catch yourself in that crucial moment when guilt begins transforming into shame is where your power lies. This isn't about mustering more willpower or being more disciplined, approaches that actually reinforce the shame when they inevitably fail. It's about interrupting this cycle at its most vulnerable point, the moment guilt starts transforming into shame. That's the pivotal moment where everything can change. Transforming unhealthy guilt into progress. That pivotal moment where guilt transforms into shame, it's also where something unexpected happens. What if I told you that guilt itself isn't actually your enemy? The same feeling that currently triggers your worst habits could become your most powerful ally in overcoming them. The distinction between healthy and unhealthy guilt is rarely discussed, Yet it's the hidden factor that separates those who break free from self-sabotage and those who remain trapped in its cycle. Let's clarify something that changes everything. Not all guilt is created equal. There are two fundamentally different types of guilt, and recognizing which one you're experiencing makes all the difference. Healthy guilt focuses on specific actions, remains proportional to what happened, and naturally points toward solutions. Unhealthy guilt, however, is like an emotional sledgehammer, vague, excessive, and designed purely to punish you without offering a way forward. Think about how these different types of guilt show up in your self-talk. Healthy guilt sounds like, I shouldn't have spoken to my colleague that way. Next time I'll pause before responding when I'm frustrated. Notice how it acknowledges the mistake without generalizing and immediately points to improvement. Unhealthy guilt sounds completely different. I always say the wrong thing. I'm just terrible with people. See how it jumps from a single incident to a sweeping judgment about who you are? Here's something fascinating about high achievers. They often have the worst relationship with guilt. The higher your standards, the more opportunities you create for perceived failure. Every small misstep becomes magnified against the backdrop of your ambitious goals. This creates more triggering moments for unhealthy guilt to take hold and potentially derail your progress. The negative self-talk that accompanies unhealthy guilt, phrases like, I'm not good enough, or I'll probably mess this up, doesn't just make you feel bad. It actively erodes your confidence and creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where you behave in ways that confirm these negative beliefs. Your brain is constantly listening to how you talk to yourself, and it's taking notes. Most people adopt one of two ineffective strategies with guilt. They either try to ignore it completely or they wallow in it endlessly. Neither approach works. Ignoring guilt means missing valuable feedback about your actions, while wallowing turns useful information into identity-destroying shame. The solution isn't avoiding guilt. It's transforming unhealthy guilt into its healthy counterpart. This transformation happens through a powerful reframing process that separates your actions from your identity. Instead of, I'm a failure, you learn to say, I failed at this specific task. Instead of, I'm so disorganized, you shift to, I didn't organize this project effectively. This slight adjustment in language creates massive changes in how you respond emotionally. To transform unhealthy guilt into motivation, you can utilize specific cognitive behavioral techniques. The process starts with challenging your negative self-talk and replacing it with more empowering thoughts. When you catch yourself saying, I always mess everything up, pause and ask, is that really true? Or did I just make one specific mistake I can learn from? This interrupts the pattern before it spirals into full-blown shame. Another practical strategy involves setting realistic goals and breaking tasks into manageable steps. This approach is particularly valuable for high achievers who often feel paralyzed by their own standards. By creating smaller milestones, you reduce the overwhelm that can trigger self-sabotage. Each small win builds confidence and weakens the power of unhealthy guilt. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate guilt entirely. It's to harness its power constructively. Healthy guilt serves as an internal compass that guides you toward your values. It helps you recognize when you've strayed from the path you want to follow and gently redirects you. Unlike shame, which paralyzes, healthy guilt energizes you toward positive change. Here's the truth about self-forgiveness that most people miss. It's not a one-time event, but a practice you develop over time. As Martin Luther King Jr. wisely said, forgiveness is not an occasional act, it is a constant attitude. This insight reveals why some people break free while others remain trapped in cycles of self-sabotage. When you catch that critical moment, that split second between guilt and shame, you have found your power spot. That pause is everything. Did you know around 70% of us experience self-sabotage linked to unhealthy guilt? You're not alone in this struggle. Tomorrow, when you mess up, and you will because we all do, try something different. Instead of diving into shame, give yourself permission to be imperfectly human. This isn't about letting yourself off the hook. It's about creating space for genuine growth. Your relationship with guilt isn't fixed. It's a skill you can rebuild, one self-compassionate moment at a time.